When I was a kid, Lilo and Stitch was about how an alien dog and an Elvis-loving Hawaiian girl became a family. But as an adult, this is way more of an emotional roller coaster than I remember. There is childhood grief, loneliness, fighting CPS. It is really complex, and I think it might be one of Disney's best movies. So it's sad to say that at the time of recording this video, the live action just came out, and with very mixed reviews. I almost went to see it, but the truth is, I don't like 90% of live actions, and I can almost guarantee you that it won't compare to the original for me. So I just kept my peace and rewatched the original instead, and I would much rather talk about why that movie is so good. Since it was my first time rewatching this movie, I want to focus on everything that I missed when I was younger, and why watching it now actually makes it so much better than it already was. There will be spoilers, but only for the original and not the live action. To start off, there is no better place than talking about Lilo. Lilo is a 6-year-old native Hawaiian with very big emotions and weird interests who just wants to belong. As a kid, I just thought her outbursts were funny. Like when she attacks Myrtle, it's played as a joke. Same with her dramatic, depressive episodes.
Leave me alone to die.
But watching it back now, it's so obvious that a lot of her big emotions stem from the trauma of her parents' death. And if you consider the Pudge fan theory, Lilo might feel responsible for her parents' death. Lilo feeds a fish a sandwich because she thinks he controls the weather, and her parents died in a car crash in the rain. When you're a kid, you definitely don't pick up on these extra bits of detail, but now watching it back and understanding all of that context, even though the Pudge thing might be a fan theory, it is actually so heartbreaking. She is only 6 years old, and she is dealing with the aftermath of some very heavy things. Of course, she's going to act out amid grief and loneliness. While I think Lilo's actions are still funny, I mean, they are still played for jokes, I think they're so smart because they are very informed by her past and her environment, specifically to show how much upbringing and family affects us. And traumatic events that happen to you can really affect how you react in other situations. At the same time, though, it is not just Lilo's circumstances that affect her. Lilo genuinely is different, especially socially. Lilo bites, performs voodoo rituals, avoids social norms, and has absolutely no filter for intrusive thoughts.
Did you ever kill anyone?
As a kid, I never saw anything wrong with Lilo. That was just the way she was. I'd say the same thing now. That's just the way Lilo is. But now I also appreciate how important her weirdness is. Thinking about it, Lilo is one of the only Disney characters that is unapologetically weird. Because we have quirky characters now, but there is just something about their personalities that feel quite manufactured. Lilo is also quirky, but she's very genuine and lovable. And I think she's a great example of how to write quirkiness or weirdness well. And I think there are a lot of reasons why it's so great to see a genuine misfit in a Disney movie. I think a lot of people can relate to that. But my favorite thing about her weirdness is her weird art. I never noticed this before, but art is so central to Lilo and Stitch, which makes so much sense because a lot of great artists are eccentric and misunderstood, like Lilo. For example, Van Gogh struggled a lot socially, and Monet received a lot of criticism for his Impressionism, which is now famous. Lilo's art is off-putting to most people, but there's a lot of meaning to the things that she creates. For example, like so many great artists, Lilo uses art as a coping mechanism for grief. She draws to express her loneliness, listens to Elvis to drown her sorrows, and even has her own, quote, blue period.
No! That's from my blue period.
This is a reference to Picasso's blue period, when the artist only depicted very sad, sorrowful imagery. She even painted her version of the old guitarist, which is a detail I never would have picked up on when I was younger. And Lilo doesn't just use art to grieve, she's also a hula dancer. And you can tell that this is one of her biggest passions. One detail I loved noticing was how happy Lilo looks when she's doing her hula dancing in comparison to the other girls who all look so nervous. So you can tell that this is her happy place, and this is definitely an outlet for joy. Despite struggling to connect to other people, Lilo is very connected to her own emotions and quite expressive in her own way. So it's frustrating that other people don't get it. Especially when Lilo is such a pure soul, because her art also reveals the way she sees the world. For example, she takes photos of overweight, clueless tourists. I do believe this is some commentary about the tourism of Hawaii. I've seen a deleted scene that kind of references how objectified the locals can feel with tourists.
If you lived here, you'd understand.
And taking photos of them is sort of Lilo's way to turn it around. But I also see her photos as a reflection of her natural positivity. Lilo sees people's oddities, like a really bad sunburn, as beautiful, which I think shows her pure optimism. Scrum also reflects Lilo's acceptance of differences. Lilo made Scrum herself. For example, her head is too big, but instead of demonizing a mistake, she reasons with it.
But her head is too big, so I pretend the bug laid eggs in her ears.
Unlike the other girls who just run away because it looks different. Through all her artistic hobbies, Lilo sees beauty where others don't. And that is what's so special about her, and why she is such a great but unfortunately lonely creative. It isn't until Lilo adopts an equally weird alien disguised as a dog that she finally feels seen. And it's no coincidence that Lilo also relates to Stitch through art. Because art is just as much about expressing yourself as it is sharing and relating to others. Like her photography, Lilo sees the good in Stitch when everyone else was disgusted.
Yes, he's good. I can tell.
Like Scrum, she uses logic to explain his odd looks.
He used to be a collie before he got ran over.
Stitch's difference isn't bad, it just is. And she bonds with Stitch through song and dance. Their relationship is so cute because it really does show how art can be appreciated across cultures and bring us together no matter how many differences we might have. And on top of all of that, art is about creating and not destroying, which is exactly what Lilo teaches Stitch. Actually, Lilo mirrors the Stitch so much more than I remember, especially in the opening scenes.
If I gave Pudge tuna, I'd be an abomination!
And as for that abomination...
Does this look infected to you?
Does this look infected to you?
Better not have rabies.
Even though they are so physically different, they actually are very similar. They both destroy because they are alone, but both wish for family. Lilo gets through to Stitch because she sees herself in him, and they both channel their chaotic energy into something positive. So it was really interesting to see all of the different mirrors Lilo has to Stitch, but that's just in the first half, because in the later half, she mirrors Nani, who is trying to discipline her so the social worker doesn't take Lilo away, just like how Lilo tries to make Stitch a model citizen so that he doesn't get taken away. And speaking of Stitch, I did not remember how emotionally devastating his little story is.
You know, I really believed they had a chance. Then you came along.
Lost.
Like, I remember loving him as a kid, but I don't remember it being this sad. Stitch is also an outsider like Lilo, but a lot more literally because he's a literal alien. When I was younger, Stitch was just like this funny alien friend who I thought was really cute. But watching it back, it was interesting to see that he is pretty much a case study on nature versus nurture. Stitch is essentially programmed to destroy. That's in his DNA. But when he's placed in a new environment, he learns goodness and creation and love, and he changes. And this is only possible because Lilo believed in him, which in turn was only possible because Nani believed in Lilo. It's interesting to think about because who knows what would have happened had Lilo been taken to a situation that didn't understand her and deemed her a hopeless problem child. Because that's exactly what the aliens assumed Stitch was. Maybe they both would have wreaked havoc if they had no one to support them. And so I think Stitch's story especially, and also Lilo's, shows how important family is. And found family, and of course that's like the main theme of the whole movie with Ohana. People that love you for you can bring out the best in you. And I will never not be some sort of emotional way when Stitch talks about finding family.
It's little,
and broken, but still good. Yeah, still good.
And on that note, we need to talk about Nani, because this girl is so underrated. Nani is Lilo's older sister who is trying her absolute hardest to keep this family together. And oh my goodness, does she deserve a nap. As a kid, I really did not appreciate Nani's struggle. I genuinely don't think I was able to comprehend what was at stake for this family. There is so much pressure on Nani to assure the social worker that she's a fit guardian so that he doesn't take Lilo away. And she is dealing with all of this all on her own. I think as a kid, I didn't even realize that Bubbles was a social worker and could take Lilo away. Nani deserves so much credit because yes, she tries hard, but it also doesn't help that Lilo is difficult to handle. She doesn't listen to authority. I don't think she truly understands what's at stake. I mean, of course, she's only 6 and has constant emotional outbursts. I love Lilo so much, but she is really hard to handle. And Nani is so young. She's 18 or 19 in this movie. She's just a kid herself and is forced to become a parent. And you can tell that Nani is really young because they still fight like sisters even when she's trying to discipline Lilo. And her situation is even more heartbreaking if you consider she maybe gave up a surfing future given all of the medals in her room. And by the way, Nani is also dealing with grief. She lost her parents too. But despite all of this hardship and difficulty, she does her absolute best to raise Lilo, which I don't think you can fully appreciate until you're older. Nani encourages her in every possible way, even if she doesn't fully understand Lilo's weird interests. She develops Lilo's photos for her, she pays for her hula classes, she even lets her name Stitch even if others are against it. She's also actively weird to relate to Lilo. And there are also so many simple things that went over my head. As a kid, you don't think about why Lilo is at Nani's work. But watching it back now, it's oh, well, she's here because it's so Nani can watch her. And now I realize that Nani takes Lilo to adopt a dog because she overhears Lilo wishing for a friend. I don't know how I did not make that connection as a kid, but neither did Lilo because she actually does think her wish is granted because she wished for an angel and she calls Stitch an angel.
Be careful of the little angel!
Which, on that note, she is so protective of Lilo. Nani never burdens her with anything, from their money problems to blaming her for losing her job.
Did you lose your job because of Stitch and me?
Nah, the manager's a vampire, and he wanted me to join his Legion of the Undead.
It's so frustrating to watch Nani struggle because she tries so hard, but things continuously look bad, and almost none of it is Nani's fault. But regardless, Nani perseveres through all of it. She never quits or gives up on her, no matter how difficult it was, whether it was financially, emotionally, even physically. She never leaves Lilo behind, not once, even when Lilo is literally captured by aliens. She does have a bit of a breakdown, but she gets right back up and fights for her. I think Nani is just such a great character, and while she may have sacrificed things to remain a family, I do think she wins in the end because she gains a whole new family, including a great man. Now, even though a guy should not be the goal of every girl, Nani 100% hit the jackpot with this man. David is, I think now, definitely in my top 5 Disney men. He has so many great qualities. He's incredibly patient. He so clearly likes Nani, but he never rushes her because he realizes that she does have a lot to deal with. He is somewhat of a hero because when he sees the girls are struggling, his immediate reaction is to cheer them up. Not to mention he is a family man. Not only does he pursue Nani, but he is absolutely just as much there for Lilo. Oh my gosh, this whole Hawaiian roller coaster sequence is the cutest thing I've ever watched. David is also so thoughtful. I mean, he finds Nani a job without her ever asking him to do that. He just knows what she needs and gets it for her. He's also insanely accepting. I mean, he gives everyone a ride to shore, including aliens, and he doesn't even ask any questions. He's the most helpful, wholesome, unproblematic man ever. Oh my god, and not to mention he's an athletic surfer. I almost forgot about that. He's just all around, just fantastic. I love him. Him and Nani are just like honestly such a power couple. Which reminds me, a couple months ago, I did do a poll on my community posts about who was the best underrated Disney couple, and I did not include David and Nani. And so I think I'm gonna redo that, and we'll see if we get the same answer or a different answer. I'll be very curious. But all in all, David, phenomenal. Nani, phenomenal. Lilo, phenomenal. And even Stitch, phenomenal. There are so many things that I could talk about that I think make the movie so special as well. Like, the music is so good. Like, the Elvis soundtrack, definitely, but the Hawaiian roller coaster ride song is just so great. There's the art style that I absolutely love. I love the watercolor. There's just so many layers to this movie that I think makes it so beautiful to rewatch as an adult. Because thinking about it, there are a lot of things I missed as a kid, but that didn't make me enjoy it any less when I was younger. It just made me enjoy it more when I'm older. I guess I'll find out how the remake handled everything when it comes on streaming. I've already heard several questionable changes, so I'm not super optimistic, but you know what? For now, I'm just gonna live in ignorant bliss. If you did see the live action, I would be curious to know if you think they kept the same adult themes. Also, is there a movie that you've seen that you watched as a kid that you experienced completely differently as an adult? Don't forget to hug your family, no matter what your family looks like, whether it's a pet, a friend, a sibling, yourself, an alien, I don't know. I hope you have a lovely night and a great day. Thank you so much for watching.